I look back on my high school days with a mix of nostalgia and a little cringe. My friends and I used to strut through the halls, thinking we were the coolest people around. We were all about showing off, acting like we had it all figured out, and avoiding anything that might make us seem like we didn't belong. Looking back, we were just a bunch of overconfident teenagers pretending we had life down to a science. We were too young and clueless to realize that someone's personality and kindness could mean way more than just how they looked. Senior year felt like we were on top of the world. We'd talk big about how our lives were going to be amazing, and everything would work out just the way we planned. Problems? We'd laugh them off like they didn't matter. Secretly, though, we all hoped our deepest fears and embarrassing moments would stay buried forever. Then, one night in April, everything changed for me. It felt like something out of a dream, like I'd been hit by this rush of pure excitement and wonder. I saw her. She had this effortless vibe, wearing tight faded jeans and a loose boho blouse that looked so cool and carefree. Her hair flowed softly around her face, and her skin looked ridiculously smooth. Every step she took had this natural grace, like she was floating. When she smiled, it was pure magic. Her red lips lit up her whole face, and I swear it sent chills right through me. I somehow found the courage to walk up to her, and when our eyes met, it felt like time paused for a second. I gave her this awkward little grin and managed to say something simple like, "Hey, nice night, huh?" She smiled back right away and said, "Yeah, it is. I'm heading to the library. I'm Annie. What's your name?" I froze for a second, but the warmth in her face made me feel less like an idiot. "I'm John," I said, trying to sound smooth, even though my heart was racing. In that moment, I couldn't help but wonder if this incredible girl might actually become someone special in my life. Out of nowhere, Annie took my hand, and my whole world tilted. My heart went wild, and this crazy rush of emotions hit me, like a fireworks show going off in my head. I was so overwhelmed I could barely stand straight. We ended up agreeing to hang out the next day for lunch. My budget was tight, so we went for burgers and fries, which felt like a feast. When we got to the last fry, I leaned in a little and said, "Stick around till it's dark. Let's go to the park." Later that night, we spread out a blanket on this dry patch of grass under the stars. My little transistor radio was crackling with some random AM station in the background, but I didn't care. I was floating, caught up in the moment. It was like nothing else mattered. Just me, Annie, and that perfect night. Even if the whole world had tried, nothing could have pulled us out of that magical bubble. One sunny Sunday afternoon in May, the sky stretched out in a clear, vibrant blue over our sleepy little town. In the town square, couples wandered hand in hand, passing by the courthouse. The courthouse was this grand old building with solid granite columns in that classic Doric style, and a big Seth Thomas clock sitting proudly at the top. You could hear its chimes echo every hour, ringing out from Main Street all the way to the hills on the west side of town. Hidden among the hedges and shrubs, Annie and I shared these quiet, tender moments together. I picked some lilacs from the courthouse garden and gently tucked them into her soft golden hair. For a second, she looked like something out of a hippie daydream, a total flower child. But to me, she was so much more than that. She was everything. People say the world is this huge, sprawling place, full of rivers, valleys, and mountains stretching as far as the eye can see. But I didn't need all that. For me, Peace was in the wide, empty meadows. They were my escape, a quiet refuge away from the constant noise of my parents' arguments and sharp words. Looking back, those meadows weren't just peaceful, they were home. They were where I felt connected, not just to the world, but to myself and to Annie. As we waited for summer to fully arrive, everything about life felt so fresh and alive. It didn't matter if it was morning, noon, or dusk. We carried this bright, sunny energy wherever we went. Nothing could touch our wild dreams or dim the spark of the little world we'd built for ourselves. Riverview Park became our haven, where all our emotions seemed to flow perfectly in sync. I looked into Annie's eyes one day and told her, "You've got my heart. It's yours to keep." She smiled back, her voice soft but steady, "And I'll hold it forever." We sat on this old wrought iron bench surrounded by wildflowers and daffodils, talking and laughing about everything and nothing. There was this electric mix of excitement and calm between us, like we were tiptoeing on the edge of something new and amazing. That night, under a blanket of stars, Annie gave me this look that stopped me in my tracks. Her eyes had this way of pulling me into a whole other universe. My heart went wild, like I was spinning in a whirlwind of emotions I couldn't even begin to control. Just one look from her, and I was gone, picturing us floating together on clouds, weightless and free. The warm night air carried this charged energy, a mix of heat and longing. The stars winked at us while a soft breeze swirled around, thick with the scent of summer and something sweeter, something intoxicating. The moonlight danced across the horizon, lighting up the world like it was made just for us. Everything felt alive, like we were part of something bigger, brighter, and more beautiful than I'd ever known. On a warm, sticky evening with the air heavy around us, Annie and I found ourselves completely exposed, physically and emotionally. I knew I had to come clean about how I really felt. Holding her close, I finally said, "I can't put my deepest feelings into words or songs, but what I can offer is love and unwavering devotion. All we need is this connection we share. No fear, no masks, just us." Annie leaned in, resting her forehead against mine. Her voice was soft, but full of certainty as she replied, "John, we've dreamed so many dreams together, each one painted with love and hope. Our words don't need to rhyme, and our feelings will never fade. What we have is real." As we walked back home, we stopped at Tradition Bridge, a spot in town steeped in a sweet little custom passed down over the years. The ritual was simple but magical. Under the glow of a full moon, you'd kiss your date, make a heartfelt wish, and toss a penny into the rippling waters of the river below. Standing there together, we kissed, made our wishes, and threw in our pennies, feeling like we just sealed something sacred. In that moment, everything about us felt connected, like our love was part of something bigger, something timeless. All the struggles and heartbreaks that other couples talked about, they didn't faze us. We held on to our dreams, no matter how far-fetched or idealistic they seemed, and we never let go of the magic we'd found. Growing up together, we became this unshakable team, blending our lives and hopes into one. Looking back, it's the memories of those peaceful, perfect moments that stand out the most. Our little slice of forever in a place that felt infinite.